Hello, dear listener and viewer of Kardec Radio. This is the 11 p.m. study session. Welcome and join us because we're here nourishing our souls. We're studying the book Mediumship and Attunement. In Portuguese, this book is titled Mediunidade e Sintonia. This book was psychographed by Chico Xavier in 1986, 33 years ago. The spirit author is Emmanuel. And again, in 20 chapters and a preface, Emmanuel gives us a new opportunity, a renewed opportunity actually, to revisit mediumship, to understand it more deeply. And you may be asking, but Vanessa, don't we have enough books? We have the Mediums book. We have the Harvest of Mediums. We have so many books on mediumship. Why did Emmanuel write another one? Well, I cannot answer this question in exact terms, but we can extrapolate that we only learn through effort and repetition. So, in the curriculum of Spiritism, we have a series of books, and the more we read, we're going to take different facets deep in our studies. So if you have already read the foundational books, we have often an opportunity to go deeper. There's always another level. And why is this important? Knowledge for knowledge? No. But each bit of knowledge that we acquire changes our vibration. Mark it down, my friends. When we acquire knowledge, it boosts our minds to another level. It's like a new configuration is taking shape. And as we vibrate differently, we are opener to new ethical, moral vibrations. In the Spirit's book by Allan Kardec, we learn that the intellectual progress comes first and the moral follows through. So the more knowledge we acquire, the more will be the opportunity for us to feel the scriptures. But we need to study it with the willingness to love and to serve more. To love and to serve more. It's not enough to know. We need to know, to love, and serve more. Okay? So I see beautiful friends here, right? I know Carol Correa is here, and I know Valéria Benfica is here. What an effort, Valéria? It's good to have you here. Paula is here. Hello, dear friend. Sol Souza, how are you? Lisa Teles, Mariana Andrade, hello, friends. Katia Yushka, how are you? Jailton, hello Jailton. Sunshine, how are you, my friend? Daisy, how are you, Daisy? Raquel Leong, how are you? Rihanna, big hug to you and the whole family. Super big hug. Nora Brazil, how are you, Nora? John De Rosa, how are you? Chris Anastasia, how are you and your mom? Karina Alice, mamma mia, Leon Denise saying, go there, Karina Alice. Join forces with the group, right? I bet. Okay, so it's another book on mediumship, but it has knowledge that is unprecedented. When we study, when we translate these books, the study goes a little deeper because we have to really go to the core meaning of the idea to really bring about the best clothing in that other language. So, and then we see how much of a genius Emmanuel is. No wonder Jesus assigned to him the task to guide Chico Xavier and the whole team of spirits that brought the literature through Chico Xavier, which deepens, expands the Spiritist teachings. Are you ready now? Yes. Chapter 1, remember, was about human trees. We mediums are fruitful trees. But you know, today, during the day, Mentor Joseph said, Vanessa, there's one concept we need to expand from the study last night. You were probably overwhelmed with Virginia being sick, not sleeping well, but we need to add a concept. And I said, what is it? He said, what is a fruitful tree all about, right? To produce fruits. Because mediumship, what is the fruit of mediumship? What is the fruit of mediumship? If mediums are fruitful trees, trees give fruits, mediums give fruits, what kind of fruits? What kinds of fruits? Many people are just going to say, oh, books, psychographed books. It can be, but it's beyond that. It's about service. The fruits are in the service, in the selfless service towards others. Selfless service towards others. The mediums that stay in their homes, awaiting an opportunity, they are magnets of entities that stop by, and they won't let go just because you're not working on it. They will stick around. Your life may be complicated. The life of your loved ones may be complicated. You cannot be stagnated. So it's vital to produce. Trees produce fruits. Mediums produce the fruits in the selfless service of their daily life. Okay? Now, chapter 2 today is titled Phenomenon and Doctrine. What does Emmanuel want to talk about? Be prepared, because Emmanuel is going to discuss passages by Jesus as the medium of God. He says in the first paragraph, to this day, the mediumistic phenomena that unfolded in the confines of the apostolate of the Christ are defined as a set of debatable theses, but the teachings and the attitude of the Master constitute the unassailable mass of light of the gospel, supporting humanity and guiding their way. Pause. Did you know that the scholars of Christianity, they discuss that, the miracles of Jesus were not so? Yes, we have friends in the Catholic Church who mention that the high scholars really come about to saying that those were insertions in the writings of the gospel. Where do we stay with it? We, the Spiritists. We need to research. We research and we find several different scholars in science that say otherwise. They cannot explain how the phenomena happen, but they validate. And in Spiritism, we have the book Good News by Humberto de Campos that rescues several of those passages, affirming to us that they existed. But Emmanuel is saying that in spite of the phenomena, the teachings and the attitude is certainly not debatable. So he begins by talking about the first appearance of the Christ. Some people resort to the idea of pious fraud to justify the transformation of water into wine at the wedding in Cana. However, no one hesitates as to the moral greatness of Jesus in drawing the most advanced concepts of love for the neighbor adjusting theory and practice with absolute selflessness for the benefit of others, in a milieu in which the spirit of conquest legitimized the worst raves of the crowd. Pause for a second, please. Why is this important for us as mediums? Why? Because you as a medium, people are always going to, if you don't doubt yourself, people are always going to turn to you and say, really? Did the Spirit say this through him or her? Or is this just animism, her own mental creation? Really? And people doubt. So he's talking about the debate that is at the core of mediumistic phenomena. The belief in it. And that's what he is talking about. He's talking about that the same happened to Jesus. Many people are like, really? Did he transform? Did he transform water into wine? Is that a reality? And Emmanuel, if you doubt it, remember that above all else, his moral greatness is in the fact that he loved his neighbor so much, that he was selfless in benefiting others. When you go to a wedding, what is your attitude usually? Do you recall? Usually, majority of people dress up thinking, I want to look good. I want to outstand. I want to see how people are dressing up. I want to meet that person and the other. Always self-centered, right? Jesus was showing to us that when we are in the social gatherings, we're there to assist others. And if you see the deep meaning of that moment that he was experiencing, of all the people who were in the wedding, attending the wedding, who needed help the most at that time? The hosts. Because you do a wedding and you can't serve a drink to people. And I'm not saying alcoholic drink, just a drink. So Jesus, as he says to Peter, he was helping, making a friend happy. So next time we go to a social gathering, we have an opportunity, or the opportunity, to think about the needs of others instead of our own. The next one, he says, psychotherapy is invoked to justify the healing of the blind Bartimaeus. However, there is unanimous consensus everywhere, in regard to the superior vision of the divine messenger, who dignified solidarity as no one, proclaiming that the greatest in the kingdom of heaven will always be the one who becomes the servant of all on earth, at a time when selfishness defined work, leading people to extreme degradation. Pause. How do we usually help others? Do we often help others with a hidden agenda? Because some people do. Majority of people. They play that Xavier that we mentioned before in the triangle of drama. Cartman's drama triangle. I want to be the savior, I want to be the one who helps, but I have an agenda to be liked, to be loved, to be appreciated. And that's when we open doors to feel frustrated, right? Disillusioned. Oh, people don't appreciate, they're not grateful enough. And then we stop doing the good work because we feel like victims. And we don't. Soon we're going to become the persecutor because the victim feels anger leads us to persecuting. If we cannot, or blackmailing the person by killing ourselves, we then may gossip, slander about the person, destroy that person's image. But you know what happens next? When we take that action in revenge, in anger, we start feeling guilt. And when guilt comes, the next step, we are back to the Savior again. Jesus was not like this. As Emmanuel says, the greatest in the kingdom of heaven will always be the one who becomes the servant of all. So if we really want to be calibrated with God, that's what it means to be the greatest. Calibrated, we need to look for the needs of others, not necessarily giving them what they ask us. Like children, sometimes they will come to you and say, "Oh, Mom, I want this new video game, this new app, or this new thing, this new toy." And then a good mother, responsible father will evaluate, and if needed, say, "I'm sorry, but not now." When a patient knocks on our door requesting something, we need to evaluate if that's the real need. Because sometimes by doing what they want, not necessarily will be helping. On the contrary, we may be complicating even more, reinforcing characteristics that we need to leave it alone. Like we say in psychology, do not reinforce the negative. Pay attention to the positive. Like a student who is misbehaving in our school. If we keep paying attention to them, the rest of the class will decode, well, the teacher doesn't pay attention to us, only to the one who misbehaves. So we better do the same, or the teacher's not going to look at us. And then everybody will do the same. So we need not to reinforce the negative. Jesus, in the healing of the blind man, he comes to us saying, help those who are in need. No matter what people say, no matter what they do. Right, Raquel Bakeshi, how are you? Gabriel Inácio, Renata Casadei, how are you? Lea Severo, how are you? Francisco Rodrigues, how are you? Raza, how are you? Lea Severo is saying the book Genesis by Kardec, chapters 13 to 15, part 2, talks about the characteristics of miracles. Thank you. Thank you so much, Leah. So, for us, Jesus is giving us to mediums the guidance. Focus on the suffering and help them out. Now, be ready, huh? Because the next one is probably the most impactant of it all. Hypnosis is mentioned to explain the multiplication of bread. However, the world unanimously admires the friend who consecrated himself to the suffering and to the concern of land possession. Jesus could climb the economic when in general, even the exhibitors of virtue lead powerful personalities of the day. Pause for a second. Let's recap something he said in the previous paragraph. He talked about selfishness. How many people study Spiritism? Many. And then when you ask them to come and help somebody else, They look at their schedule, they are not so sure. But it's funny because when we're studying, everybody's in awe with the beauty of the gospel, with the beauty of the action of the loving and good spirits. They dream about being mediums. They dream about helping others. And when the opportunity comes at their hand and they need to prioritize, they don't do what Jesus did. They don't leave their comfort zone to go and help others. They stay there. By doing so, we're not being fruitful trees. People think that mediumship is going to happen on a beautiful day when everybody's at ease, life is going to be smooth, and we're going to sit down and talk to the good spirits. Not on earth. Not on earth. On earth, it's going to happen in the midst of the craziness of life. True mediumship is going to happen while we are, as he says in the previous chapter, he says, the mediums are like precious trees that raise their thoughts towards heaven while keeping their feet in the difficulties and deficiencies of the ground. So if we are looking forward to have the ideal scenario to serve as mediums, it's not going to happen. And to work on a mediumship group, you don't need more than 2-3 people. Serious 2-3 friends who want to study and work on it and be a helping hand to the good spirits. So, let us meditate. Let us meditate. Okay? Hello, Juliana. How are you? Melissa, how are you, my friend? So, Gabriel Inácio's mentioned, every day when I go to bed, I ask myself, have I done a good deed today? I always have a good feeling I could do better. You're right, I agree with you. I have that feeling often as well, Gabriel, that we can always do better. Lappy, how are you? So friends, you're meditating together, we're together here. We are mediums. Mediums of what? Of the obsessors of others? Or are we mediums of the good spirits that want to help people? The guardian angels of people are always looking for people who want to help. May you be the one who is the door person to the good spirits. At work, in your house, in your community. You know, by playing the sacred silence, but the active, heartfelt vibrations, we're always helping. Okay? Now, he's gonna say, he said already about the creation of the bread. He chose to be amongst the suffering and the unhappy. While many people who had mediumship were flattering celebrities of the time, like they do today. There are many people who are mediums and now are on Facebook talking about the celebrities, that they are side by side with celebrities. And the suffering ones, where are they? Jesus has never done it. And if you think this time is different, we don't think so. Mother Teresa never, ever, she wanted that type of affair. Of course, we know she met Princess Diana and she even guided her. But she didn't stop working for the poor and with the poor to then be with the celebrities or the influential people or the powerful personalities of the day. She really followed through. And it's up to us to do the same. Don't be tempted, because we've been there, done that in previous lives. Right, Melissa? She's saying, I want to be a good intermediary, but it's not easy. You're right, it's hard work. But you can do it, right, Melissa? We can do it, right? And he says the revival of Lazarus is questioned. The beauty of Emmanuel is that he's not going to dispute. He just says, okay. But, he says, there is no one who denies unconditional respect for the sublime benefactor who has revealed enough firmness to show that forgiveness is the lever of renewal and life in a social framework in which crowned hatred interpreted humility as inferiority. Why is he saying this? As mediums, we need to be firm. But firm in what? In our conviction. People are gonna doubt. They want us to prove to them that we're mediums. We don't go there. They come to us like, oh, can you give me a message of this loved one, that loved one? And we say humbly, if the spirits bring that about, we will share with you. But it's not up to us. I cannot pray hard and say, oh, please. No, that's not going to work. It's not physiological. It's dependent on the superior permission and availability. Sometimes that loved one is not available. And in the case of Lazarus, he's talking to us also about these deep cases of obsession in which only forgiveness will be the one that is going to free the person from the sleep, the deep sleep of the soul. So, let us ask this question to ourselves today. Am I being firm enough in my conviction and principles? Because Jesus is being the medium with strong conviction. He's talking about firmness. He's talking, let's recap. In the wedding in Cana, he's being selfless. He's not there because of him. As a celebrity, he's there to help. In the case of the blind man, he's helping in spite of what people are saying. In the case of the multiplication of the bread, he's teaching us to serve the ones who are sick and in need, and not be amongst those who are famous. We can, if needed, but we're not going to make it a priority. And Lazarus, firmness, forgiveness. Finally, the question of Jesus' resurrection has been debated until now. However, the whole world reveres the envoy of God, whose figure is reborn day by day from the ashes of time, indicating goodness and concord, tolerance and self-denial, by roadmaps of real happiness in the center of cooperators who multiply in all nations in the passing of the centuries. If Jesus, as the governor, comes to the earth and only does the good and people still doubt, who are you or me to think that people are going to look at us and understand us, my friends? That expectation we need to dissolve in the waters of understanding. People to date do not understand the medium of God on earth. And there are people who avoid practicing mediumship because they cannot handle the doubts of the colleagues, of their companions, of the people who are around. and they avoid practicing mediumship. You know what it is called? Vanity. Let people doubt. It's between God and you. I don't care. God knows, God is watching. My heart is at ease. That's what Jesus taught us. You do the work that needs to be done. And what people make of it, it's their business, not ours. We cannot be omnipotent and manipulate people's opinions about us. Let them be. But we cannot stop being fruitful trees, because people are going to take an apple, bite on it, and throw it away. I don't like this apple. That's their problem, not the tree's problem, right? We're not going to say, hey tree, what are you doing? This fruit is not sweet enough. And the tree cannot even answer for herself. She's going to continue producing fruits, giving more apples, because that's her business. That's her role as a co-creator. Our role as co-creators, as mediums, is to serve and do the good without expectation. If people agree, disagree, believe, disbelieve, that's their problem. Right? Right, Celia? How are you? Finally, he says here, no matter what people doubt about, he indicated as a guiding model, goodness, the good. Concord, meaning come on, let's tolerate one another. He repeats, tolerance, self-denial. If we do renounce our ego, we are not going to be able to live a good life or roadmaps of real happiness. So if you want to cooperate with Jesus, do you? But Vanessa, who am I? Well, you're a child of God, just like me, like everybody else. Jesus is awaiting for your cooperation because he's the governor of the planet. Fruitify where you are. Give your fruits. Serve and help the ones where you need. And if you're a medium and a spiritist, for God's sakes, please study and work. You don't work, a room. Xavier, simplicity. Huh? Let's keep it simple. Right? You have a house. Oh, but Vanessa, it shouldn't be in a house. Well, if you don't have another place, a house, that's what it is. And if you have a friend or two, that's enough. And one day, when the group grows, you're gonna miss that beginning, because it becomes more complex when the group grows. Many more spirits coming in and out. The challenges are different. So we need to cherish the beauty of the formation of the small group. And if it stays like that for the rest of our lives, maybe that's God's plan. That's what they want. That you stay homogeneous and being a good medium for the rescue of the entities, right, Melissa? Let us then recall similar lessons in the Spiritist doctrine. Will always be reason for experimentation and study, both favoring teaching controversy, but the gospel education. The example in service defines irremovable moral forces of guidance and reasoning, which resist doubt anywhere. So, the phenomenon. If people come to our centers looking forward to see phenomena, I'm so sorry. We're here to study, to love, and to serve. We're not here to prove that there's spirits exist, that there is the afterlife. These are things you don't prove with the five senses. It comes from within. It's a realization of the person. So for us tonight, Emmanuel is calling us all, fruitful trees, to follow the Master. Focus on the suffering ones. Right now, do you know where the majority of suffering ones are? Discarnated. You don't need a plane to help them. You don't need money to help them. All you need to do, study mediumship, form a good group, be serious and simple, and help them out. The greatest charity we can do nowadays is not only the one from within, changing ourselves, inner transformation, but giving a hand to decompress the suffering that happens in the beyond, my friends. Right? Rihanna is saying, I have learned to not be afraid to make mistakes in practicing mediumship. By practice we learn, and we're merely the instrument of the spirits to give them as. Exactly. Thank you for mentioning this, Rihanna. It's very wise. Many people do it out of ego again. And that's why Emmanuel is saying to us that it only happens if we're just like Jesus, selfless. Selfless. We serve, instruct ourselves, and serve others. Okay? That's the message of today. Tomorrow, we're going to study the chapter, Examine Your Desire. What is this all about? What does it have to do with mediumship and attunement? Right? So right now, as we're calibrating ourselves, let us do the following homework. How can I serve more? But not external, in places where we are in our own attunement, connecting with the higher spirits to assist those who are sometimes invisibly around us, but in great need of a helping hand. Shall we, friends? So let us pray as we close this session that is illuminating our hearts, strengthen our minds. Dear God, thank you so much for opening our minds a little more, for opening our hearts to love even more. Thank you so much for bringing these teachings that are an opportunity for us to give a helping hand, a smile, a beautiful thought, a prayer, a good word, sometimes renouncing to be right, or to give the final word, or to make things our way. May we be compassionate and mindful of those who are in greater need than ourselves. Thank you for our connection and for this community of love that is willing to serve more in our daily lives. And so be it. Thank you, friends. A big hug. And until tomorrow, God willing.